He had given countless rides before. But when a desperate woman stepped into his cab, something told him this ride was different. She had no money, no options, yet her eyes carried a quiet dignity. The taxi driver made a decision that night, one that would come back to him in the most unbelievable way. The next day, someone knocked on his door. And what happened next left him in tears. Michael had been a taxi driver for over 20 years. He had seen all kinds of people, happy ones, angry ones, rude ones, and even those who barely spoke a word. But he never turned down a passenger, no matter their situation. One rainy evening, just as he was about to end his shift, he noticed a woman standing by the curb. She looked exhausted, her clothes slightly worn, and she was struggling to hold back tears. Something in Michael's heart told him to stop. As she got into the taxi, she hesitated. I don't have any money," she admitted softly. Michael looked at her through the rearview mirror. He had been in tough spots before. He knew what desperation looked like. "Where do you need to go?" he asked. She gave him an address, but added quickly, "I understand if you can't take me. I'll find another way." Michael shook his head. "Don't worry about it. Just sit back and rest." The woman's eyes welled up. "Thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me." As they drove through the dark streets, the woman remained silent. She simply looked out the window, deep in thought. Michael didn't press for details. He just drove. When they arrived, she turned to him and whispered, "You didn't have to do this. I wish I could repay you somehow." Michael smiled. "Just pay it forward someday." She nodded, stepped out of the taxi, and disappeared into the night. Michael assumed that was the last he'd ever see of her. But he was wrong. The next morning, just as Michael was preparing for another long day, there was a knock at his door. Confused, he opened it, and standing there was a sharply dressed man in a suit, holding a briefcase. "Are you Michael?" the man asked. Michael hesitated. "Yes. Can I help you?" The man smiled. "I believe you gave a ride to a woman last night. That woman was my mother." Michael's heart skipped a beat. "Your mother?" The man nodded. "She didn't tell you who she was. She didn't want special treatment. But she told me what you did for her. And I wanted to thank you, personally." Michael was still processing what was happening when the man reached into his briefcase and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you," the man said, handing it over. Michael opened it, and his breath caught in his throat. Inside was a check for $50,000. Michael shook his head. "Sir, this is too much. I can't accept this." The man smiled. "Yes, you can. And you will. You see, my mother isn't just any woman. She's the owner of one of the biggest companies in this city. Last night she was in a difficult situation. She needed help. And you, without knowing who she was, helped her when no one else would." Michael was speechless. The man continued, "She wanted to test something. She wanted to see if kindness still existed in this world. And because of you, she got her answer." Tears welled up in Michael's eyes. He had never expected anything in return for his good deed. He was just doing what he felt was right. The man patted his shoulder. "Use this however you see fit. But more importantly, never stop being the kind of person who helps others, no matter what." Michael stood at his doorway watching the man walk away, still in shock. He had given a simple free ride, and in return, he had received something priceless. Not just the money, but proof that kindness always finds its way back. Michael never expected his small act of generosity to lead to something so incredible. But that's the thing about kindness. It has a way of coming full circle. So the next time you have the chance to help someone, ask yourself, what if this small gesture could change everything? If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming real-life stories. What would you do in Michael's situation? Let us know in the comments below.